What is going on? I am Cole. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to talk about some of the comics that I'm looking forward to this week. So just want to give a shout out to Las Cruces. Thank you for hanging out here in the chat. And yeah, so first, I just kind of want to go over something that I kind of talk about every time that I do this video. But one of the things apparently I stopped sharing my screen. I forgot to do that. So, one of the things I like to just kind of tell everyone is that most of the information that I find here over at League of Comic Geeks. You can set up a poll list and go through, but pretty much what they have here is they show every single issue that's coming out. The one caveat that I will say is that there are some times where League of Comic Geeks doesn't always have the most up to date knowledge. So, some of the stuff that I'm going to maybe recommend, there is a possibility that maybe it doesn't come out this week. That has happened a few times before in the past with some of the other books that I have talked about. So I just kind of like to lead with that because, hey, I don't want you to go to the shop, think something's coming out, and then find out that it isn't. So, yeah, that's kind of how I like to lead it. So, first book I'm going to get into is going to be Vanish #2. This is the second issue of a very anticipated series from Ryan Stegman and Donnie Cates. I really love the first issue. They had some kind of like weird magic, school stuff, but also mixed with some superhero stuff that's kind of going on in this book. And I think it's going to be a very solid second issue. I know this was one of those books where I think I kind of was up and down on it. When I had talked about it, I didn't know if I was going to love it or not love it. I ended up reading the review copy, and it was a book that I feel like it's going to be a pretty special book. Sorry, I had to crack open a little bit of coffee that you can't see because apparently Vanish is in the way. So I've got this nice little mocha here. So second book is going to be Firepower, #24. Firepower is kind of this book. It's not for everyone. Robert Kirkman, I think, is a very solid writer and I think does a lot of really good books. But the issue I think is going to be here is that there's just some people don't like this, and this is also a 24 issue, like issue #24. This is a fast moving kung fu book. I highly recommend checking out the first trade. You'll maybe sort of be able to tell if you like the story from there, but it kind of mixes slice of life and it mixes some other stuff, and this is actually one of the few books that I'm really caught up on, so that definitely helped a little bit with why I chose this one. So next, I'm going to go into the number ones, and we have American Jesus. This is uh, Revelations, and this is Mark Millar or Mark Miller. Sorry, I don't know why people call him that because his name is Mark Miller. It's just spelled slightly different. This is the third book, and apparently this is supposed to be a trilogy, and this is the end of the story arc. Or sorry, the end of I think the whole thing. So this has been pretty good. There was American Jesus, and then there was a second one that came out probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and this is I think going to be the final volume of it. So it's probably not a great picking up point, but there was some cool stuff in the first volume and the second volume that if you've never heard of this, it might be worth checking out. Hey, what is going on, Kenneth Bird? Thank you for stopping by. I'm just talking about some of the books that I am looking forward to. This is the first #1 in American Jesus. But as I like to say, this might not be a great starting on point. It kind of deals with, I think the first volume kind of deals with the reiteration of the devil. The second volume dealt with the reiteration of Jesus. And I think that they're going to kind of come together in battle in this one. So I think it's going to be pretty awesome if that's the type of story that you like. Next book up is another #1. This is a Black Label book from DC Comics, and it is Riddler Year One, #1. The big thing that kind of sold me on this book, because normally I don't love to get these Black Label books, and I've kind of been putting on hold, but this is Paul Dano's first issue, I think, as a writer, and he's writing Riddler kind of similar to the Riddler that he did in the Batman. So if you like that iteration of the Riddler and you want to see Paul Dano do some writing, I think this might be a good book to pick up. Worst case scenario, I'm picking up the first issue and I'm going to trade weight the rest. But I think that it should be a pretty fun start. And it's kind of cool because I don't know that there's ever really been people that have played a character and then wrote that character in a book before. So I think that's pretty cool. If there has been somebody else, let me know in the comments down below because I do not know of one. And the final book, this is a Vault comic book. It is Nightfall, double feature number one. This is two books in it. It is a little bit more expensive, but I figured it's got David Andrew, who is Bruce and Stephanie's best friend. So I'm going to probably pick this book up. There's two different books in here. So it's kind of the play on the double feature. The first one is called um, is about it looks like after human bones begin growing inside and inanimate objects all across the globe, a renegade scientist and brilliant theologist delve into uh, s- the cemeteries where the bones originated, discovering an otherworldly force tired of being buried in the darkness. And the second story is about a family's cross country road trip goes off the mat into an unforgiving wild of the Joshua Tree National Park. Where when mom and wife to be Helen succumb to a malvoyant force tucked inside an abandoned camping trailer. So I think, this is one of those books where, yeah, it's kind of spooky, double feature. I think it should be pretty fun. And for the most part, Vault Comics, it had pretty solid job doing horror books for the most part. Not all of them have had solid ends, but I think when you get kind of these quick books, hey, it should hopefully help it. And yeah, so one of the things I've been kind of doing now is I've been talking about books that maybe I'm not going to pull the second issue of, and I'm going to bring up Creepshow. I think Creepshow is similar to this double feature, right? Where it's just an anthology of a bunch of different stories. I did not love the first issue. It was a little bit more comedy horror for me, and that's probably my least favorite brand of horror, especially in movies. And I think it's harder to play out, especially I think comedy in comics too is something that I don't necessarily think has been great. So unfortunately, I think Creep Shows might be dropped for me. I think if you like that first issue, I would probably still do it because that's just what I did. I did not love that first issue. So I just wanted to let people know if they were like, hey, he recommended this. How did he feel about it? That's one of the books that I don't want to. And I'm going to do the reverse here because there's a book called Flawed that came out, and the second issue comes out. And I also loved that book. So I think if there's another book that's worth looking at, it is Flawed. It's kind of this, weird little book where there's this guy going around kidnapping kids and cutting their skin off. And this is kind of like trying to find who's doing that. So that is going to be it. For those of you who are just stopping by or just want a quick recap, the books that I'm most excited for next week are going to be Banish #2 from Image Comics. We got Firepower #24. This is from the Skybound imprint of Image Comics. We've got American Jesus, also from Image Comics. We've got The Riddler Year One from Black Label, and we've got a double Nightfall feature, or double feature Nightfall. Wow, from Vault Comics. So that's what I'm looking forward to. It sounds like my daughter just got home, so I'm gonna run off and hang out with her. But thank you everyone for stopping by and watching this video. Let me know down below what your most anticipated comics are, or if there's just a cover that you're looking out for. Let me know. As always, I've been Cole. Thank you for stopping by, and peace.